So George Floyd was murdered in front of us. People was like, okay, what is this? Where's Panama? Is the black people there? Just straight out. Just straight out. Like, how do I get out of here? When that happened with George Floyd, I probably got 250. What did it take me a year to do? As far as building the group, I probably had that many in a week. My name is Charlotte Vanhorne, CEO and founder of Black Expats in Panama.
So it started as tours, but now it's so much more.
Dr. D, I didn't really see it as a forever thing. You know, I was just like, I'm going to show this. And it was actually somebody else said, this is really good. You need to do this. I'm like, you think so? Yeah, you need to do this. And so I was like, okay. So we added another tour. And they was like, when are you going to have the next one? Everything that you do, you need to be driven by a mission. It can never, for me, be about the money. The money is going to come if it's a good idea and you're willing to plan your work and work your plan. It is going to come. I think that I made myself small in that partnership. If the work is not getting done, I'm going to do the work. So when I was just like, okay, I've had just about enough of this relationship, I was ready. I went from a gross of 5 digits to a gross of 6 digits, like in a year. They're not just clients, they're family, they're pioneers. It's like a migration, and we're leading them, loving on each other. And, we may have more money, but they got more joy and they got more love. And that is what's important, because I have a mission. And the mission is that
So, Charlotte Vanhorne, finally, welcome to the Dr. D Exchange. This podcast, this practice, Dr. D, would be nothing if it wasn't for, and I always say it, because of God and because of you. You influenced a lot of my business and a lot of Panamanian Black-owned businesses. And to have you at the Dr. D Exchange is an honor for me. And I always start with the same question, and it's just that if you could tell us something that the people listening would like to know about yourself in general.
I would say, just in general, I'm a Jersey girl. I don't know if people know, everybody knows that, but I'm very proud to be a Jersey girl. I just love that about me. It gives me excuse to do all kind of crazy stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I think that some people think I don't rest, and I want people to know that I do. And is that what you mean when you say something about myself?
Whatever you want to say about yourself.
Okay, because I say so much. People come up to me and be like, I try to tell them something. They be like, I know. You done told us everything. I think that I think I'm emotional, but people know that too. I just about sit here and cry, just thinking about what you just said as the opening. I'm just very grateful. I'm a very spiritual person.
And you've always been this way in your household? You're religious or?
Oh, no. My household wasn't religious, was growing up not religious at all. And that's a very good question, because I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, right? And I did have a religious phase. I did have a religious phase when I really first started, connecting with God. I really got religious, and then you kind of grow out of that and you just develop your own spirituality. But growing up in my house, one thing I can say is I remember going to a wedding and sitting next to my mom. And that is the only recollection that I have, sitting next to my mother in church. My mother did not go to church. My mother was not saved. I was raised by my mom. She and my father divorced when I was very young. And she didn't go to church, but I just can remember when I started learning about the Bible and the Beatitudes and everything, it was my mom. It was her. And that taught me a lot, because even though she wasn't that person that, I don't know what her prayer life was, she definitely wasn't going to church. She, when it comes to the being a Christian and what the Christian life it should be, it was her. And when I started my podcast, back in 2021, I started my podcast with my mom in mind. And going off, but my mom was just so amazing. And I remember when she told me one time there was a homeless guy, and he came and knocked on the door. I grew up in a very rural part of New Jersey where everybody knew everybody. So growing up, everybody knew me. I was the bad one. My mother had 5 children, and all of our parents had gone to school together. It was like, a big family. So one day this guy knocks on the door, and I screamed when I looked up and seen him. And then she tended to him. But when she came back in, she said, "Charlotte Ann," that's what she named me. She said, "Charlotte Ann, don't do that." She said, "Don't treat people that way." She said, "He homeless." And just those kind of things. So I think that I am just a person that definitely is spirit driven a lot, but I really believe in treating people the way that I want to be treated.
I guess that's the difference between spirituality and religion. Like,
Yes.
spirituality is really doing what is good for yourself, for the universe, for your next in kind. Is just not professing, not preaching, but really doing things.
Right.
Not even it's not that to put a show,
Yes.
just really to make a difference
Exactly.
in someone's life. And you mentioned when you were growing up, brothers, sisters,
Yes,
family
I
like?
have. I'm the youngest of 5.
Right.
I have 3 sisters and a brother that I absolutely adore. My brother is the middle child, and then there's two big girls, my brother, and 2 little girls, and that's how we were identified. The big girls are little girls, and Charlie, that's what they used to call my brother. But that's how I grew up, as the youngest in the family.
And when you was growing up, everyone wanted to be something when they grew up. What was that something that Charlotte Vanhorne wanted to do?
I wanted to be a professional gymnast.
Okay.
And I wanted to be an actor. Those were the things, the doctor, lawyer, all that I never even thought about. But I wanted to be an actor, and I wanted to be a gymnast at one point. And I used to be out in the yard doing my flips, and I had this fantasy that Action News was going to ride by and see me, and I was going to be famous like overnight. I'd be in the yard flipping. Man, I would be flipping. My sisters have their little boyfriends over, and here I come doing cartwheels through the living room. Oh, I did flips everywhere, and I watched my granddaughter Zola, and she's very gymnastic inclined, but she's really a dancer. But she'll bust out in a dance, honey, anywhere. So that's that Nana's baby.
So between that gymnast / actress to the entrepreneur that you are now, what happened in between? Where did the shift came?
Well, I'll tell you that I think I just outgrew gymnastics.
Okay.
I don't think I ever outgrew wanting to be on stage.
Performing.
I don't. And I actually am a professional stand-up comedian. That's something people may not know about me. And I'll tell you a funny story. I decided that I wanted to go to acting school. Okay. And I wanted to go to, it was a school called Mason and Gross, Rutgers University of Mason and Gross, I think it was called, in New Jersey. And I was fast, honey, because I was like 15, hanging on college campuses, and that mean grown, doctor. You said, you look to the side like fast. That mean like grown. I was grown. All my friends were older, And I never really was a person that had to rehearse for things. Didn't have to rehearse for things. And I went to do an audition at Mason and Gross. And the night before, I had my lines. I did study the lines. I did contrasting skits. Hello Dolly. I did something from Hello Dolly and something from Raisin in the Sun. But the night before, we played spoons. And I don't know if you know what spoons is, but it's a drinking game. Okay, and I lost. I lost, and I went to the audition, and all those kids were there, and they were like doing all their breathing exercises, and just really like intense and everything. And I'm like, okay. And I got there, because I knew my lines. I got there in front of the panel and forgot every line. And they sent me. They didn't even tell me I didn't make it in. They was like, they'll consider me for later. Okay, please. So that was kind of the end. That was the beginning and the end of my official acting career. And then by that time I had gone to like vocational school because I had gotten bored with school. And I told my guidance counselor that I was just going to quit and get my GED, which was like equivalent degree. And he was like, "You're too smart for that." So what he did was, and I always talk about this because, other people will tell you that he was not very fair to black students, and he was not very encouraging. He was a white man, but because he would tell people, students, don't go to school for that because you're not smart enough. You'll never make it as a nurse. I mean, he's told people really crazy stuff, but for some reason, he told me something different. And so I checked out vocational school, and I saw business data processing, and because I went throughout the school, and that looked attractive to me because people worked independently, and I was, I didn't like hanging around with kids and stuff, and so I felt like that kind of looked more like a job. So anyway, I got into vocational school, business data processing. Back then, it was probably 1980, 81, and I was learning Cobalt, different programming languages, like I guess probably some of the very early ones, Key Punch Machine, you probably know what that is. But anyway, I ended up getting a job because I was so good at it. I had very good grades, and that kind of got me into data entry. And then data entry took me into being a clerk typist. And then being a clerk typist took me into being a secretary. And then being a secretary took me into specialty. When you're a specialty secretary, you get a different financial situation. So I was always a medical secretary or a legal secretary. And so that's how my life ended up, which I did, but the majority of my life, what fed me was being a legal secretary.
So from the secretarial world to the stand-up comedian.
Yes.
I've
always been an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur, and my brother is the first man to give me a job. My brother was like 17, and he was a hustler, and he had contracts all over. He would clean offices and stuff. And he let me clean this one little office that he had on Wednesdays. And he would pay me $25. And I just can remember figuring out it only took me 2.5 hours. I'm making all this money and everything. But I love saying that he was the first man, that a black man was the first man to give me a job. My mom had an entrepreneurial spirit. We didn't recognize it as that then, but my mother cleaned houses. She made fried chicken. She did hair. She was the first pimple popper baby. Let me tell you, people used to come to her. Really? Yes, and she'd get out her jumbo bobby pins and just go to work. She'd get my cotton balls, have her alcohol. We never really looked at mommy as an entrepreneur, but that's where we got that spirit from, because my brother is an entrepreneur as well. And so he gave me that job. And then when it comes to, so I did secretarial work, but I always had something on the side and my own thing on the side. How I was able to get to the comedy part was I went on a cruise in 2010 or something. And There was a comedian there that night, and he was like, hey, listen, if your friends tell you you're funny or you've ever thought about doing stand-up, I'm going to be in the Ivy Lounge or whatever tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Stop by and see me. So about 30 people, including myself, stopped by because I've always had a sense of humor and, I always make my friends laugh and everything. And he told us about his story, how he got started and everything. And he says, now, I want to try something different on the boat. I want to do an open mic. Oh. So he said, if you want to come, he gave us some guidelines, what we couldn't say. And he said, but if you want to come, just meet me there at 8 o'clock. Now, there was 30 plus people in the Ivy Lounge. 8 of us showed up. And it was my first time, doing stand-up.
Nervous?
And I was nervous. But what's amazing is that I automatically knew what to do. Okay. Between that time in the afternoon and later that night, I had written jokes. And I had written jokes that were based on things that I saw on the ship. And I did so well. People couldn't believe that I had never done it. I did so well that the headlining comedian asked me to open for him in Washington, D.C. Yes, so I was like, what? So I'm like, okay, so I was going to open for him. I think he was going to be in D.C. because that's where I lived in that area. And so I had a few months to kind of practice and get myself together because I just said yes. And, I had this little video from the boat, and I showed it. It wasn't so easy to put things on social media back then, but my friends saw it, and then everybody started asking me, can you come and do something at my birthday party? Can you come and do something at the church? Wow. And let me tell you something. I had too many requests. There were like 2 other women in the area who were female comedians. I was giving them work. And I could never, the one thing I wasn't good at was regurgitating jokes. I felt like a phony to keep telling the same jokes. So I have a whole book of jokes. I wrote jokes every time that I did something new, and I try to write it towards the audience, and it got to the point where at some point somebody said to me, well, how much do you charge? I said, charge? Hadn't thought about that, because I was just, doing it.
Also, at the moment you were just doing it?
I was just doing it. I was just, okay, all right, okay. And then somebody said, how much do you charge? And that's when I took a little training. I studied improv. I went and took a 6-week improv course, and I had that be part of my act where I would do improv with the audience. And then I also took a Tasha Smith course, and she's a lady that's done a lot of Tyler Perry movies and stuff, and she came to DC. And make a long story short, I started doing that. And it just got overwhelming, because I was still working, and I had started the Sister Locks business on the side. And it just got to be a lot. I was turning away a lot of work. And then I just decided that why don't I just do what I love doing? And I love talking to women. I love women. I love sisters. I do. And so I started just doing a little bit for women here and there. And then after the Sister Locks business took off, I just kind of, abandoned that.
So the Sister Locks, you've been an entrepreneur your entire life.
Entire life.
So you were doing the...
Sister Locks came here. I came here with Sister Locks. So, that's where Black Expats in Panama started.
So how did Sister Locks was on the radar while you were doing the clerk work? Were you doing stand-up comedy? Where did that came
By the time the Sister Locks came in, I was a very established legal assistant, legal secretary person. I was making good money. But Al and I had started talking about retiring in Panama. And we had actually put a contract on the house that we have now. We put that contract in 2010. And so I knew that I had to figure out something other than what I was doing, because I couldn't be an administrative person here in Panama because everything is in Spanish. And I didn't even realize then that I probably couldn't have got the job anyway because I'm not a citizen, right? And I noticed with Afro-Panamanian women that sometimes they would just be amazing from here down, and the hair was struggling. Okay, and it was like, but when I was here, when Al and I would come and visit, my husband's Panamanian, by the way, I noticed that they didn't have the products and they didn't have some of the expertise that is very common in the United States, where people can really like master braiders and stuff like that. There just wasn't a lot of that here. I was wearing sister locks at the time, and I thought, well, I can't even take credit. Holy Spirit told me that's what you need to do there because of the weather. You know, I felt like, you know, in Panama at that time, back in 2010, like you see a lot more embracing of the natural now. Yes. And that's what the Holy Spirit told me. Like back then, I mean, people was giving me white dowels. You know, Black Panamanians literally giving me a white dowel. And I'm like, I don't want no white dowel. No dowel. You know, I mean, like, yes. I don't know. You ain't got no black one that look like me, you know. So that's kind of where I was finding some, you know, of the of like Panamanians to be as far as the whole cultural aspect. But some just told me that it would change, and that by the time I got here, they would be ready to do more natural hair, and the sister locks would be a good method for them because they wouldn't have to worry about their hair getting wet. Yes. You know, or the humidity, and they could control it better. And so I took a sister locks class, and I had never done hair before, ever. And I left that class, and I thought to myself, this was probably in 2011, maybe 2012. And I said to myself, I just gave that woman, Dr. Joanne Cornwell, who created Sister Locks, I said, I just gave her $1,500 because I'll never get this. But because I had paid the money, I had to give it a college try. And I did like 3 mannequins before I saw my first client. Make a long story short, I took my business, my Sister Locks business. I started going well. I started building it up. And then I went commercial, into a commercial location. I wasn't even making the money. I wasn't even making the money to pay the rent.
There or
that
here?
That was in the United States. Okay. Before long, I had so much business. It's the same here. I probably literally sourced the business of no less than 10 to 12 Sister Lock consultants in Northern Virginia and DC. Whereas they came through, some of them came through, I started offering a training program because people didn't know how to manage business. Everybody was trying to figure out how I did so well. And the reason that I did well was because I'm always my own client. I cheat. I was a Sister Lock wearer, and I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I never got from my Sister Lock consultants. And so when I created my business, it was about everything that I wanted as a Sister Locks client. So it was waterfalls, you know, snacks. It was good music. It was a completely sanitary situation. It was being on time. You know, it was, you know, professionalism. It was having the expectations. So it was a whole thing. And, you know, after a while, I mean, I just couldn't take any more clients. I retired from corporate America doing Sister Locks. So from 2012, when I started, to 2017, I did Sister Locks in the United States, part-time, and I started to ease out of my full-time job. And I got it to the point where I was spending more days. I went part-time on my job, and I was spending more days building my business than I was working for somebody else. And by 2017, the shift was starting to take place in corporate America. In the U.S. It was something different was happening. Like they had taken down all the walls, and like even like the high level partners and associates, attorneys. You know, the secretaries had always been a fishbowl. You walk by and you see everybody. You're just out there. Yes. Well, they made all the offices glass. That was a turning point. They made all the offices glass, so nobody had privacy. So that was like one of the first things that they did. Then they would say, then they would put out an email and talk about something that's about to go down, and they referred to the staff as human capital. And I sent the director of human resources a message, and I said, that term offends me. And it used to be human resources, which is probably almost as bad when you come from a lineage of enslavement. To call me capital, I mean, that just didn't sit well with me. Then it got to the point where they wanted the admins to clock in. I hadn't hit a punch clock since I was like 18 years old, and I wasn't about to start. And they wanted you to put everything that you were doing on a daily basis. So I told my husband, I said, this is shifting. And eventually I'm not going to have the freedom to continue to build my own business. I made him a proposition. And I told him, this is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing with Sister Locks. This is how much money I'm making. This is the benefit. And this is the benefit of having my own company, is that when I make money, I make money. I made money every single day, and I got to decide when I pay my taxes. I got to decide. I had more control over that money rather than me working and them taking their money up front and then having to pay again, maybe, at the end of the year. So we would have more flexibility, and I felt like I could exceed what I was doing. And I was making they call good money back then. It was just under six figures though. And I made a proposition to him. People going into business, you gotta consult your significant other. They gotta be on board, because other than that, it's gonna be an uphill battle. And God forbid if it don't work out, oh Lord, and you don't let that good government job or whatever. But I built that up, and I retired from corporate America on January 5th, 2017 at 4:00. The last day I worked for anybody other than myself. Wow. Yeah. Then I did that full time at the salon that we had in Panama. In the U.S. Then I started transitioning and introducing the business to Panama. And what I did, one of the first things that I did, because Panama was not familiar with Sister Locks, I give my thanks to Carmela Goburn, the SMAP community, Melvin Logooden, because they embraced me. And they opened their meetings to let me come and speak to Black Panamanians about Sister Locks. I got video of this, 10 years ago now, probably almost. And, people was like, okay. And, but I was able to build from there. And one of the first things I did to introduce Sister Locks to Panama was I invited all my clients to come to Panama with me. Oh, wow. That's where Sisters in Panama, which I own now, it used to be Sister Locked in Panama. And I just could envision all these beautiful Black women walking around Panama streets in bright yellow T-shirts with our lovely locks. And that was the introduction.
I think that's your secret sauce. You find a business, you make it grow, but then you make it, you don't stop there. You said, I could do Sister Locks, I could open locations and keep it simple. No, I could envision, if I'm going to Panama, I'm going to bring my clients from the States. Normally, what you would do is start a business, have your clients in the States, that's good. Then you're going to start over, you're going to start in Panama and replicate your successful formula. But you took the best, I could incorporate and travel and do international. It's going to be simple, but then no, let's put some music, let's put some this, what else can I do for the business to be unique, to be different? And working for corporate America as a Black woman, having your own business as well, you saw different stages, what is possible, what is not, the limitations. Did that experience influence in your decision to have to retire and live abroad? Or you mentioned that your husband is Panamanian. Did he say like, no, we're gonna live in Panama? It was a combination, something that you saw. What convinced you? What moved you to come to Panama? If you were doing okay, well, very good at the moment with Sister Lock, with your business in the States.
Well, when we decided to invest here, I was not doing Sister Locks. I needed to figure out what I was going to do when I got here. So Sister Locks was sort of like a future plan. And I didn't expect it to take off the way that it did in the United States, you know. But as far as Panama goes, Panama just always felt good to me. So I was with that, you know. I'm like, I can do that. Panama always felt warm in more ways than one, you know. So that was kind of, you know, what it was with Panama. But I think that one of the things that is a secret sauce is relationship. All of my businesses involve relationships. It's not just about money. It's not. I was talked about because I did not have the highest prices in Northern Virginia. I could have charged a lot more for Sister Locks, and I was criticized because, you know, other people thought, okay, well, they doing people's hair in the middle of their living room, okay, in an unprofessional chair, and here I have a real studio, you know, with professional chairs, a wash bowl, beautiful bathroom, waterfall, snacks, all of that. And everything that you do, you need to be driven by a mission. And the mission for Sister Locks was to see as many Black women in this liberating, beautiful hair style. I mean, it's our hair, no extensions. It's our hair. And our hair loves to be locked. People that have never grown hair got hair down to here when they start locking, you know, because our hair is not meant to be brushed and combed and put on the floor. And, but the thing about it is that you have to have a mission, and that was my mission. In order to stay true to my mission, I couldn't charge all that money. I didn't want to charge all that money. And guess what? God was blessing me so bountifully that I was putting money in your hand, you know, as far as all the other business I was given to all the other consultants. And so it can never for me be about the money. The money is going to come if it's a good idea and you're willing to plan your work and work your plan. It is going to come. If you stop focusing on money, has no feeling, you know, money has no senses. It's your client that needs to be stimulated, and their needs need to be addressed. The sense of smell, taste, sound. There's like 5 of them: smell, taste, sound, and I hit all of them. I hit all of them because I had good music, because I had good snacks and drinks.
The materials.
It was clean, you know, and so I made sure that I appealed to your senses. And when you came into the shop, it smelled amazing. Like, you know, coming in here, I noticed things like that. And when you do that, you will be successful because you're not focusing on the dollar. Of course, it cost me more to service my clients than other people did because they were just so busy trying to get paid. But yet you asking me for business.
Yes.
I'm the one that can't take I refuse to take any more business. I don't want no more customers or clients. I always refer to the people that invest in me as my clients.
Yes.
And so that's always the secret sauce too. You know what you're doing it for. And that way you'll get opportunities, but then you'll know what opportunities to say yes to. Or you have a little bit of a gauge, you know, as to what opportunities to say yes to. if the opportunity is going to grow your business and take away from your mission, it might not be the best opportunity for you at that particular time. But if it is encouraging your mission, if it's, my husband used to say, you're not working, you're a minister. That's what he said. It's ministry. And he said, I see these women, how they come in and how they leave. And now that I'm not there anymore, guess who, like, a big part of my client base is for my travel. My sister-in-law clients. My sister-in-law clients, they go everywhere in the world with me. We're best friends. My Black Expats in Panama clients, they go everywhere in the world with me because they're my clients, because I treated them well. So don't drop dollars to pick up pennies. That part. Don't drop dollars to pick up pennies. Don't be worried about every little cent, because how you make a person feel is going to make them continue to invest in you or not.
I just want to pause for a moment and ask you to consider subscribing if you haven't done so. If you know of someone that you think that this type of content could be of value, please share the word of health. Let's change the concept of health. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Please give a like, subscribe, and share. And now, back to the video. That's so true.
Yeah.
And so much people miss that point.
Yes.
They're like, how can I save cost to get more money? How can I invest and make this better to get a better experience for my clients? And they will bring me more money.
Yes.
It's the perspective of scarcity is like, let me try to save as much instead of how much can I give to others. Like the perspective, it changes everything. So now you're here in Panama.
Yes.
You brought Sister Locks. And you started the business
here.
Yes.
I started the business here in Sister Locks, and one of the first things I did was get a professional chair. And that was so hard, Dr. D. That was like back in 2016, maybe. Excuse me. And it's amazing that I couldn't get people to help me. I'm serious. I would go into salons and say, I mean, we didn't have Amazon, I was still looking for stuff for Panama City and getting Florida, It wasn't easy. Things weren't easy here. And I would go into the shop and literally say, can you tell me where you get your, I don't know. I don't know. They were not willing to help me. And I got that a lot. And then I tried to, connect with other, Black Panamanians that were doing business here, like doing hair, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to be here all the time. And I was looking for somebody that I could, as I was transitioning my business, that I could send them business to. Because I knew once I put out there that I'm here in Panama, things was going to start to happen. And I needed for people to be able to get something from that inquiry. And I just wasn't going to be here all the time. I was just walking in faith, you know what I mean? But I just really didn't get a lot of reception. And then, honestly, when I came to do Sister Locks here, my goal was I could see at that point where a lot of foreigners were coming to Panama. And the customer service in Panama has never been like, whoa, However, I will say it is much better. I've been coming here for over 20 years and I've definitely seen it improve. But I knew that as other hairstylists in particular, natural hairstylists, and by then, just like God had predicted, Panama was getting a little more interested in, because it was 2012 when I started that, right? By this time, 2016, 2017, you're getting more interest in natural hair. But I knew that Panamanian stylists would not be able to compete with people coming from the U.S. to do natural hair because of customer service, because of products, because of language. And what my goal was to teach Panamanian women to compete with me. That is what I was trying to do. I hooked up with Jenny, Trip to Jenny. That's my boo. I love her so much. She's my mentor here in Panama. But I hooked up with her way before. This is way before I had anything to do with travel, anything. But we were on the I Support My Sister thing. That's how we connected with this women's organization in Cologne. And we were talking to them about doing business development with Black women in Cologne. And I was going to use Jenny as my voice. And also I was looking for Black Panamanian women who I could train them, and they could train younger people or other people who wanted to do business in a different way. Because I just feel like they would have more respect and be more comfortable with a Panamanian woman, speaking Spanish and knowing the foundation. And I didn't want it to seem like I'm this woman from North America coming and telling y'all what to do. So I wanted to focus on maybe finding just a few Black women in that business or in business in general. And then what happened was it didn't hit. We never really got it together. And then eventually COVID happened. And then that really just shut things down. But I think that must have been later. That must have been later in the process, probably maybe 2018 or something, when I hooked up with Jenny and was trying to do all that. But
so then from Sister Lux to Black Expats in Panama. Very different business.
Very different business. And I'll say that, Tirsa Blanford is one woman, and she's actually not Panamanian. She's Nicaraguan. She's a Panamanian resident now. But I taught her to do interlocking. Okay. And so that when I wasn't here, that I could send people to somebody. And when I was able to start doing hair more regularly here, it was it was fine. It was fine. But what happened was George Floyd. So George Floyd was murdered in front of us. Now, I had started this Facebook page and group on Facebook.
About what?
It was called Black Expats in Panama. And the reason I had started that was to do Sister Locks.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
That's how Black Expats in Panama and Sister Locks in Panama all, converged. I knew from what I learned from speaking to the women at SMAT meetings and just what I was observing about people and prices here, I knew that the average Panamanian could not afford to use my Sister Lock service, even though my Sister Lock service price here was going to be less than half for sure of what I was doing in the States. And so I knew that I would have to attract Black women coming from the United States because they knew the deal they was getting. They would buy it up easy, right? And so I kept looking. I knew I needed expats. Kept looking for expats. Kept looking for Black expats. Nothing was coming up. This is around 2019. Nothing is coming up. And finally, the Holy Spirit said, "Going in, if you look one more time for this thing, build it, start it. Who says you can't start a page that says Black Expats in Panama? So if you have Black expats out there, they'll find you." Yeah. Right? And so they did find me. And about 200, I had built like a page of, a group of 250 people interested in Black expats in Panama. Some people was living here. Most of them wasn't. They were asking questions, and I would go to Panama and do a little, go down to the mall. And this is the mall at Panama. I didn't know nothing about Panama.
Videos.
Very limited. And I was only here twice a month, twice a year, 2 weeks at a time at that time. Oh. So just building it up because I was just doing Sister Locks. I'm setting up the Sister Locks. And eventually, when that happened with George Floyd, when he was murdered in front of us, I probably got 250. What had it taken me a year to do as far as building the group? I probably had that many in a week from him dying. And it was people like, okay, what is this? Where's Panama? Is there black people there? What is police brutality like there? What is it? What do you have to do to be a resident there? How do I get to live there? Out. Just straight out. Just straight out. Like, how do I get out of here? You know, what does Panama look like? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I never really got that deep into it. I just came here to do hair. My experience with Panama was very different because my husband was Panamanian. I didn't really have to know too much. Yes. He didn't know a lot because he had left when he was 19 and by then he was like 60 or something. But, you know, we didn't know the ins and outs of Panama. We were learning too, like buying a house and learning that there ain't gonna be no light fixtures in there when you get there. It was like what we learned on time. Like, okay, there you go. But anyway, that's when I decided to assemble a team of professionals who could answer some of these questions. And I figured we needed a realtor and we needed a lawyer, a realtor, a lawyer, and I wanted a moving company, but we started with a realtor and a lawyer. And that's how that started. That's how those worlds converged. And probably within the first year of George Floyd's death, our page had probably grown to about 2,500. And when I decided to answer the call, I had some people I was working with, boots on the ground, here in Panama, who did assist me in finding some communication, some connections for me. I needed a black tour guide. I needed to support black businesses, you know, whenever possible. So I had perimeters, and I needed to go to Cologne, and that was the pushback.
Yes,
Cologne was the pushback.
I can imagine.
Cologne was the pushback. You shouldn't go to Cologne. Black people from Panama told me that. White people here that was, you know, doing different things told me that, and I knew in my spirit that I was going to Cologne, and it was a testimony about how important it is to be able to hear from God, you know, whoever you consider your God. Like, none of us can do all this on our own, and you have to be willing to take some chances if you really feel in your spirit that that's what you need to do. I hadn't seen Cologne in 14 years. I could not come back to Panama because it was locked down. Once COVID hit, because remember George Floyd COVID was official for me March 9th. My last time I came home from Panama, that was it. I heard it on the news, COVID. By May, my salon was shut down by the government, you know, all kind of healthcare spas and stuff. And so George Floyd died in May of 2020. That was only 2 months, April, May. So we're all in the house and not knowing if we're ever going to go outside, and like, really, what is this thing still? And people, so I couldn't check on Cologne. I hadn't seen it in 14 years, but I knew I should go. And we added it into the tour. We did our first tour a year later. Our first tour we sold for $1,200. 5 days in Panama, $1,200. If you decide you can't go, it's a $50 fee, because it took a lot of courage for people to even book a daggone tour. We didn't know we was going out again. Everybody was restricted. Everybody was in the house. You know, kids was home, wasn't going to school. You know, people was like, I'm with this. You know, I want to try it, because they bought the tour. And so anyway, that's how that got started.
That first tour?
First tour, we had, it was a lot. It was like, 30 probably on that first tour. And we had so many sign up. I think I remember that. We had so many sign up. Maybe it was 30 the first month, because we did 2 tours and that we split them up. But the first one was really big, and it was really cumbersome, because what, you know, we quickly discovered was like, oh wow, 5 people in an elevator. How's this gonna work? Things took forever to do. When we went to see units, half the people had to wait downstairs. You only could have so many people in an apartment at the same time, let alone an elevator.
Yes.
So those kind of things. So we broke that first month up into 2. Maybe it was 30 altogether. I can't quite remember, but it was quite a few. And then people was like, when are you going again? I'm like, I don't know. Even Dr. D, I didn't really see it as a forever thing. I was just like, I'm going to show this. And it was actually somebody else said, this is really good. You need to do this. And I'm like, you think so? Yeah, you need to do this. Because other people look at money.
Yes.
And, if you could sell this in the height of COVID, this is something that's you're probably going to be able to do. And so I was like, okay. So we added another tour. And they was like, when are you going to have the next one? I think if you look back on our history, our tours started one link at a time. And finally, I said, I'm just going to have to commit. I'm going to have to commit. And we established some dates. And my typical dates are the 1st through the 5th.
So from a Facebook page to tours. When you assembled the team, it was to answer questions that you didn't have the answer to.
Yes.
And then you said, like, well, you know what? Let's bring some people to Panama so they can see what this all about and have it as an experience.
Yes.
And then people say, like, no, this has to become has more interest of the situation of Black Americans. They were living and looking for a solution and alternatives in a place like Panama. And you was there promoting Panama at the right time.
At the right time.
And they said, like, well, let's see Panama. Because it is not a coincidence that the last couple of years, Panama has been flooded by expats. We all know that. But Black expats, it's been so much more than before. Like, it's not even close. And that you was instrumental for that to happen. Because of the 1,000 that have come in here because of you, there are 3 or 4 times more that some told someone, some saw some video of you, and made it happen.
That didn't come on the tour.
That didn't come on the tour, but just by listening from other experience, reading on Facebook or looking at a video at YouTube, found Panama and said, like, maybe I should have that. So it started as tours, but now it's so much more. I remember when we started together, you had a partner, and the business structure was very different. It was completely different.
Completely different.
So how did that affect it? You've never done this before. I guess you were looking for some expertise here in Panama to join you in this mission. But seems like now that you parted ways, it just grew bigger and bigger. And why do you think that's it?
That is such a good question. And if I'm just completely honest with you, I think that I made myself small in that partnership. And you work with me every month. You know how I am about lanes. This is not what I do. So this is what I do. I communicate with people. I share my story. I'm good at putting people together. Yes. But when it came to the logistics of moving things in Panama, and I didn't speak Spanish and everything, I think I relied heavily on my partners to do certain things. Now, I'll tell you where people miss the mark and where people really sell themselves short. I have a talk I used to do, and it was called Don't Sleep on Your Day Job. And even though I may not have experience as a tour operator at that time, I got a lot of good sense. And I've worked for attorneys all my life. And working for attorneys can be very challenging. But guess what? I learned some of the best lessons about business watching how law firms are run and all that expertise and exceptional service. That's how they treat their clients. Always. So from a young girl, that's the kind of environment that I've worked in. When somebody asks you on your job to do something that is outside of your scope of work, for me, if you asking me, they asked me one time to deliver mail. I was doing a temp job. I started with temping. That was a really good thing for me. I was doing a temp job. They asked me to deliver mail. And I said, I didn't deliver mail. Because that right there was not at the level that I was, where I came to do. That wasn't the work I came to do. But I'm going to tell you where I would not buck up, when they asked me to do something more than what I came to do. Because they was going to pay me to figure it out. And once I figure it out, it's mine. It's on my resume, it's in my head, it's in my expertise, and it is mine. It is an asset. So when you're working with somebody and it was supposed to be a certain, you do this work, I do that work. Partnership for me is a P word. I can't see myself ever doing that again. It was the first and probably last time. But I'm going to tell you something. My name was on it. So I'm going to have some control. Best to believe. And a lot of things that you see in the development of Black Expats in Panama was my intellectual property. Was my intellectual property and my philosophy about how you treat clients and everything like that. Here's where it gets tricky. The work has to be done. And I'm like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I know entrepreneurs are on 24/7. I mean, that's just how it is. Seasons, but that's how it is. If the work is not getting done, I'm going to do the work. So how do you think I learned how to do the work? People didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So when I was just like, okay, I've had just about enough of this relationship, I was ready. I was ready because I was doing the work.
You were doing it already.
I was doing the work. The only day I was doing the work, but it just wasn't, I wasn't being compensated in the way that, in commiserate, I think the word is, with the work I was doing. So a lot of it had to do with administrative, managing details. Of course, with travel. By then, I knew the areas, because that was the other thing. I can't speak to people really too much about the areas that we're seeing because I don't know nothing about them. I couldn't keep up with what was Costa del Este. Which one was Costa del Este? Where's that one? But San Francisco. Okay, right. That's at La Tapa del Coco. I couldn't keep Chame. Which one was Chame? Chame wasn't Gorgona. Where was that place? I wasn't ready for that. So I don't begrudge anything, because there are no coincidences. Yes. There are no mistakes. And at the end of the day, I had started something by then I could see was bigger than me, was bigger than anything in front of me. And it had my name on it. And my name was trademarked. Early. It's the other thing. Protect your stuff. I worked for patent attorneys. So that's why I'm so into trademarks and things like that. Because I've seen people fight over their marks. You know what I'm saying? But it was really after I got rid of them. Oh, it was amazing. Because I had total freedom. When I got rid of them, I also got rid of some of the suggestions that they had made as far as professionals and stuff. And, just had the freedom to vet my own people, to tell them what I wanted. I had the freedom to do more for the clients. Like, I didn't have to squabble over nobody. People talk about my swag bags. My swag bags is a whole conversation, honey. Matter of fact, I just posted, a client did in a post like, oh my God, this bag is like everything. You got people that can't see the value in that. And I don't charge, more. I don't charge as much as some other people do, maybe for a relocation tour. And that's okay because I have a mission. And the mission is that as many people as possible get to see the option of Panama. I'm trying to make it so that it's not just for the rich and famous, and that people with modest incomes can understand this is something that you could probably do. Well, if they can't even afford to come on the relocation tour and get the information all in one and have this amazing professional excellent service, then that's not encouraging to them. You know how many people come here now on a modest budget? You can't come to every party and do something every night because you're gonna run down your money. But at least they was able to say, let me check on it. Let me check on it. I said, get your passport. Get your passport and come on here. So no, I don't charge what everybody charges. And when they come on my tour, especially people who are well traveled, they be like, girl, you was really giving it up here. That's okay because they keep coming back and they keep sending people. And the one thing that we cannot quantify, I haven't figured out how to quantify, is how many people come back how many people you get because of what other people have said about you, or how many people you lose because of what other people have said about you. We don't really know because not everybody says, oh yeah, I'm here because of so-and-so or whatever. They just come or go. Instead, they won't tell you to your face, I'm leaving you because of this or that. But they will tell their friends and sometimes social media nowadays. But it was easy for me. It was, of course, that's when the work really, really kicked in because, settling things was a transition. But, what I found out was things really weren't as I thought. And I didn't do as much vetting on that end as I should have. Trust but verify. Okay? Trust but verify. Everything that looks like, everything that glitters is not gold. Take a look at the White House. All that crap is painted gold. I cannot believe when it's just a thing. But yeah, once I was able to kind of make my own decisions, make my transition, I decided what things to keep because I had already learned how to do them. And then over time, I've transitioned even from some of them. But it was like the floodgates open. And I mean, really, just to be honest with you, I went from a gross of 5 digits, okay? Yeah, I was at 5 digits. I went from a gross of 5 digits to a gross of 6 digits, like in a year. Went from, I have to go back. I want to say the year before I sold $1 million in tours. I don't want to lie, but the last thing I could remember in sales literally was like 100 plus. I am not lying to you. So God was, I went through some stuff there, but through all of it, God kept me. He multiplied me. He saved me from making bad decisions. It was just amazing. And he has just continued to grow and expand this business, this community since.
You trust and obey. That is where you're able to recognize his voice and just operate accordingly. And it seems like you have core values, things that I've seen consistently throughout your business. You stay on the mission because there are going to be distractions. The more you grow, there are going to be voices, suggestions, partnerships ready to happen. Everything is going to look nice. But if you stay on course, like you have your mission, everything that aligns with that mission, okay, we can discuss. Everything that looks fine, but it's not, it's going to deviate you from your mission or your base values, your core values, then you say like no, thank you, but not right now, not at this moment. And your team seems like having a team, like the right pieces is crucial to all your business, all the experiences that you have had. It seems like those are two things that, and then your imagination, you just put the extra, like what else can I do? Because okay, I'm doing business now, this is my business, thank you, now let us take it to the next level. It was Black Expats in Panama, now you're doing tours in Colombia, and then you've done
the cultural tours,
to
South Africa, Brazil, Ghana, and we have, those are like the three most recent ones that I branched out to, besides Colombia. And then we're going into Curacao. Curacao, November 2027 is going to be our first tour. And I think too, Dr. D, is I don't let conventional wisdom drive me. You know, they say, no, you shouldn't do your videos. Your videos need to be under 3 minutes. You know, the algorithms are doing this. I don't get, if you look at, I look at some videos, I'll be like, wow, they got like 10,000 views in a day. I hardly ever get those kinds of views, you know, and my videos don't look like other people's videos. They're not professional. They're not cute. I don't have pop-ups because I haven't figured out how to do that yet. And quite frankly, I ain't got time and I haven't found the right person to do it yet. But Dr. D, my videos sell tours.
Yes.
My videos sell tours. Majority of the people, I don't even have as many followers as other people. They come here because of YouTube or because, and I'm like, but only 300 of y'all watch the damn video. You know, it's like, how does that happen? And the other thing is that, so I go with my spirit. You know, when I did the Chariot documentary, and that was awesome. But the director was like, you know, they only know the film world. So their way of promoting it, and I just wanted to get it out there. My goal was to leave something for my grandkids. And, you know, their only way that they know is to submit things to the festivals and everything. They submitted the Sunfest festival, and it wasn't accepted. And so they like, we could submit it to another festival, but every time you submit it to a festival, you can't publicize it. I said, no, we're good. I said, let me show you something. Okay? And so that's when I decided to do the premiere, the red carpet, you know, just the whole Oscars thing where I added in, you know, the awards, the Beep Awards, flew them in from California, and the team, and people are still talking about that event and that documentary. Absolutely. So it don't have to be done like everybody else is doing it. The other thing is this. I do not follow or watch competitors. Everybody would tell you, you need to know what your competitors are doing. I don't care. Really, honestly, I don't care what my competitors are doing. I don't, because I think that if you're that person that's constantly following that person that is competing with you, and maybe you would like to get more likes on your stuff or more views on your video, you may subconsciously start trying to do things the way that they do things.
Yes.
And what is for them is for them. What is for you is for you. So I don't want to subconsciously even think, or if you have an idea and you say, oh, I'm going to do this or that, but then you realize, daggone it, he or she has already done it. You're going to talk yourself out of it. Not that you're not trying to bite off of nobody. But so when I don't follow people like that, I know that I'm true to myself, and I mind my own business.
Well, that's so true and so encouraging, because as they are starting or businesses, because that's the thing. If you're unique, and that's the thing. One of the things that convinced me of doing things differently, community oriented, where you don't have to worry about what no other one is doing, because you have your community, you have your family backing you up. If you're wasting time looking at what the competitor is doing, that is time that you are not working on your own stuff. In a world where we all gonna dress white shirts and blue pants, like why are we gonna follow up? Because it worked for them. Great for them. I have a mission. Their mission is not your mission.
Right.
And when I saw the things that you were doing, and one of the most unique things is that Cologne day, that Cologne tour. I see your clients every day. I see your customers every day. They come to me, and when they talk about the tour, and I've seen people from other tours, there is no comparison, as it should be, because there shouldn't be a comparison.
Right.
But the way they believe in what you are doing, they feel part of something.
Right.
When you are in a tour of Black Expat in Panama, they feel part of a community, a mission. They feel like they are important, like they are in a mission. Different from, we are looking at alternatives, and this is a good trip to check that out. Like, no, this is something different. We are finding out something that we don't know about ourselves. Like, you're finding, like, this is where I come from. This is my, like, you're finding identity with your tour. And that's what I've seen. And I applaud you for that. It is incredible. And you have figured out how to put that's your stamp on Black Expat.
I love that, Dr. D. And you're probably exactly right. They feel a part of this. So last night we celebrated it was our official celebration of the 50th tour.
50th tour.
50th tour, the big 50. And, the room was full. We had almost 100 people there, and a majority of them were people who already live here, who have gone on the tours. But what was beautiful, that there was, a good percentage of them too that hadn't gone on the tour. And it dawned on me for the first time. I said, I don't like to spend a lot of time with just me talking. So that's not my format either. Like, I'm on and I'm talking for 2 hours, or, oh, God forbid, lives. Lives is, I just don't want to do them. But you know what the YouTube channel is about? The power of the community. Most of the stuff that I post is about things that we do together here as a community in Panama. And I said, you know what? I'm all right with that, because that is what is important. That is what is important. We went down to Portobello on our last Cultural Caribbean Day. Baby, when I tell you, we left a tip of $1,500 for the dancers. Okay? Wow. We said, I always, of course, we paid them. And they've never missed. Oh my gosh, Dr. D, they break me down every time. This is a necklace that I wear all the time. They made this for me probably over a year ago. I have so many gifts from them. It's crazy. And the other day, we were there, and it was our 50th. And they came up, and Tia was like, okay, because he was translating. He was like, this is a first. And he said, they want to talk to us, and it was like 3 kids, and it was, different ages, but they were speaking in Spanish and translating and saying how, happy they are that we have come to experience their culture, and how proud they are to be able to share it. This is not just a dance. They had like 3 of them. And obviously it was like an Easter play. It was like an Easter Sunday where the kids know certain lines. Clearly they had practice. Okay. And I'm like, okay, I got it on video. I was like, Okay, I had no idea where it was going. But the three of them spoke. T.O. translated. Then Anayas come up, Miss Vicky's daughter, gave T.O. a letter to read. And the letter was about their appreciation for having been a part of 50 tours. And that's just 50 beep tours. Okay? And how much we have contributed to their community, and how much the fact that we come every month and support them and encourage them makes even the hard parts of their life easier. Baby. Then they said they had a special tribute to me. They had a new gift, and they said, I don't know where she gonna put it. But of course it wasn't a dry eye in the place. They are so amazing, Dr. D. Dr. D, they are some of the most thoughtful people I've ever met in my life. And I said, you know something? Alfredo and we do a lot for people, okay? Mm-hmm. And praise God, we can. And we do what we want, when we want. But hardly anyone does anything for us. And I think that being here, in the country where you have a little more than most people, they think you don't need nothing and that you got everything, And I mean, people will ask you, can I have $200? Can I have $200? Well, but you want a loan? I mean, come on now. I mean, you're not even asking for a loan. You're asking for money. But what it is that with them, it's community, it's family. And I told them, I said, y'all ain't never gave me a dime, but every little thing that you have done has absolutely it is undescribable how sweet they are and how they think of me, and they have made me 3 polletas, whatever they can do. So this particular day, the donation was $338, and that was on top of their pay. And that was big. I think that was about the biggest. Well, we had a sister on the tour that said, I match it.
Wow.
I match it. And I said, well, guess what? Beep gonna put another 500 on it. And it was just like the joy of giving and sharing. They're giving, we're giving. And I'm telling the people who are on this tour, watch these people because they can teach us lessons. We may have more money, but they got more joy and they got more love. And that is what's important. And it is just undescribable. And I say, people ask, well, what is kind of like, the best experiences or the most memorable things that have happened on the tours? And I always have to say, when we have lunch at a Black-owned restaurant in Portobello, then we go down the street to the Black Christ, and that's where a lot of the dancers live in that village. Oh. And I sit on the bus and I listen to the blues during that time. That's my little break, right? And I watched this brother who had just danced for us come around the corner. He had money in his hand. I guess Miss Vicky had divvied up and everything, because everybody gets paid. He came around the corner, money in his hand, and spent it in his community. He went to the store and spent it in his community. And I said, boy, what we could learn from that.
Yes.
The dollar stays in I always forget if it's 6 minutes the dollar stays in the Black community in the United States like no time at all. We are constantly giving our money to other people. What if we were more collective about doing things together, investing in each other? If that brother or sister has a store and their prices are a little bit higher, then the other person, you know what, pay the price because it's probably a reason. It's about more than, you don't want people taking advantage of you, of course. But don't be so quick to just say, well, the Chinaman has it for 50 cents less because it's a bigger picture. So I just learned so much from them. And Portobello was the best thing that happened to me.
And you are the best thing that has happened for so many locals and expats as well. You will never understand the impact that you have in the life of so many people. Those kids, they might have never seen that joy that they experienced that day. Again, that's going to stay on their memory, on their mind for years to come. It's not only the money that is spent.
Yes.
It's the joy, the sense of importance. Like, I matter. I can make a difference. I can be of service to my family. It is not just what we see. Like you said, like, there are people that see your videos and you say, like, oh, 1,000 saw the videos. Just 1,000, that's the number. But the impact is way higher than that in the communities. But amongst professionals, Black professionals, we've never had this exposure by the government, within each other. Now, we are connecting within different Black businesses. And this is just because of you. I have no idea.
Thank you.
Business Tapa del Coco, talking to Dr. Duncan, we talking to her provider. Like, it is now we are just communicating and see, like, hey, we are here. I see you.
Yes.
And that's because of you. Now, people in the States are seeing, like, hey, I have a choice to decide where do I want to retire. Are you meaning that I can decide to do what about my future? Thank you. Like, it is incredible, and you'll never see the impact, the full impact that it'll have in 2 countries. Well, 3 now in Colombia. And it's like, just be great. And I know that the bigger things you get, your mind just said, like, what's next?
What's next?
So what would be next for Charlotte and Black Expats?
Well, I think that I want to expand into more Central and South American countries, maybe, and also consulting. There is a need for people to. The demand for cultural travel now is like big time. And so I would like to encourage more people to create relocation tours. I ain't going to teach you how to do it in Panama, but to create relocation tours to serve our people so that we're looking, because we got the entire world. So if you want to do a cultural relocation tour, or that's my model, cultural relocation tour. Then, perhaps I can start something like that where I can sew into people just like I did with Sister Locks, where I had the women that I sewed into, got them their first clients, let them do their first head in my shop and all of that. To grow in those regards, and then also to work on expanding the availability of Afro guides in these different places. Not to say that you have to be Black to share Black history. I'm not saying that, but for knowing the North American, our personality, our experience, we want to receive Black history from Black people. We want to know that you ain't holding back, because you might have to talk about your ancestors. So, we want to talk about people who we have are like ancestors. You can't, that's like having a European tell me Black history. I'm sorry. I don't think that you can be impartial enough, to do that. However, good Black tour guides with Afro culture and history is not as easy to find. especially when they need to be bilingual. They need to speak English because a majority of your clients are going to be North American. So working on that, and as a matter of fact, I am actually in talks with some local and Panamanians and Panamanians who live in the United States to kind of address that situation. So I can see that just expanding it and making this opportunity available for more of us. If you have Black tour guides in Panama, I learned because I have Ashanti is my assistant. She has a new fancy title now. I can never remember it, but she has a tourism degree. And, when she got done school, she was just like dejected. I mean, she just felt like, I'm never going to be able to do this. She was so judged by her hair. And she said it's not as easy for Black tour guides to get work as it is for others here in Panama. And she had a couple of companies tell her that she needed to do something different with her hair. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen her hair, but it's big and beautiful, baby. I don't think that girl has ever had a perm. She is beautiful. She is beautiful. She is well put together. And she wasn't going to do that. She is so proud to work for a Black owned and operated business. Okay. And so I said, listen, for me, Black tour guides here in Panama City, you know that Afro-Panamanian culture and history is on the menu now. People are coming and they're looking for it. You need to get yourself together. You need to learn that history, and you need to make it so that other people are not capitalizing off of your history, because that's what's going to happen. Because if we don't have enough tour guides that look like us to give us the history, and we want the history, we're going to go with what we got. Okay? Why not make this a niche where you have a disadvantage? Maybe, because I know people say there's no racism in Panama, and I leave that alone because I'm not Panamanian and that ain't my business, okay? I got enough issues with the United States. That's not my business. You feel whatever you want to feel about that. But I recognize a few things, okay? And I'm saying this, your advantage is your ancestry in this case. This could be your niche. This is a way for you to make money that they ain't gonna get in nobody else. So you can either take it or leave it. But this is an opportunity on the table for not just tour operators, like myself, but for even the local tour guide. Come on now. We can all benefit. The professional, how it just grows. The professionals getting together. I hadn't even really thought of that, Dr. D. And not only that, the fact that the Black dollar is so strong and so important, and there are so many of us here that there are companies that be definitely in my inbox that I know wouldn't be otherwise. There are companies that I'm sure are in your inbox that you probably would have never heard from if you wasn't dealing with so many Black expats with dollars. Okay, with dollars. So this is a time where we can all grow and make a difference. And I don't think that we should waste this opportunity because nothing is promised.
Definitely not. An opportunity you have given and changes like this. This is the time. Like, it's never been a better time with things that are happening in the government and the states. Panama being in the position that it is. Like, if it's now, you have to wake up. And Charlotte, there's anything that wasn't said that you'd like to...
Lord. Well, maybe what wasn't said was how much I appreciate working with you. And I love and I appreciate... I mean, everybody likes getting their flowers. I'm not even going to lie. I love it. But at the same time, I want to recognize what you've done, in the community. And I think sometimes because healthcare is different here. And I tell people, whatever you know about the United States, forget about it. This is Panama. Tip, okay? This is Panama. So the fact that you are so hands-on, we call it bedside manner, it may just be common practice for you. But I want you to know that it is ultra special for us who probably haven't experienced anything like that as far as care from a medical professional since we were kids. Since Dr. Davis had a house in my neighborhood, and that's where everybody went. Everybody went to Dr. Davis when they had a cold or whatever. And to be able to, you have brought the community together. You have helped people get more healthy here. They everybody know, Dr. D, I know the one I'm going to spa with today. She done told me she done been in a little bit of trouble, and she getting herself together. But that is an anointing. Not everybody can do that, and I know that when I'm with you or when other patients are with you, that we feel like we're the most important and only patient, but I know that we're not. And I know how much you've sacrificed, and I know how hard you work. And I want to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You.
And we'll continue.
Thank you.
We'll continue in this mission because there's a lot of work to do. Yes. A lot of work to do. Our community has been neglected for years. That's a super understatement.
Wow.
And we have the opportunity right now. We have the means to make a difference. And we are their voice.
Yes.
Let's just not only speak, let's shout to the mountains. They have an option. This is not like what they know. It's not that what they are. It's not everything.
Right.
They have options, and
it's another story to be told.
And if it's here in Panama or Colombia or wherever, just like you said, just have an option.
Yes.
Get your passport. Look for have a plan B.
Plan B.
And see, just in case.
Yes.
And you have to go.
Yeah, well, thank you. This was amazing. It was good just catching up with you too. Yes. Because we don't get a lot of time to just sit and talk, and so this was a blessing for me. And I thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm just so happy that our paths crossed.
Yes.
I love you, bro.
I love you too.